You walk into a party. The room is loud, too many voices at once. Your chest tightens, your eyes dart around, looking for an exit, a familiar face, anything. You tell yourself to relax. It doesn't work. But the real answer is far stranger than social anxiety. Your brain isn't broken, it's ancient. For most of human history, a crowd of strangers wasn't a party. It was a threat assessment. Your brain evolved in small bands of maybe 30 to 50 people. Everyone had a name. Everyone had a role. A room full of unknown faces would have meant one thing: danger, or a rival group, or a situation with no clear rules for survival. Your nervous system still runs that old software. It doesn't know the difference between a networking event and a hostile encounter on the savannah. Feel that tightness in your chest? That's not anxiety. That's a 5 million-year-old alarm system doing exactly what it was built to do. Let's go back, way back. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brain size and group size. He found a pattern. The bigger the social group an animal lives in, the bigger the neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex thought. Humans, with our unusually large neocortex, seem built for groups of about 150 people. That's Dunbar's number. Not 1,000, not 100,000, 150. Beyond that, your brain starts to strain. It can't track who owes who a favor. It can't remember who's trustworthy and who isn't. The social math breaks down. Now think about the last crowded room you were in. A subway platform, a concert, a conference hall. How many of those people could you actually name? None of them, probably. And your brain knows it. Somewhere underneath your conscious thoughts, an ancient part of you is running calculations it was never designed to run. Too many unknowns, too many faces without names. That's not a modern glitch. That's a mismatch between your environment and your biology. Here's where it gets stranger. Psychologist John Cacioppo, one of the founding figures in the field of social neuroscience, spent decades studying the effects of social disconnection. He found that feeling surrounded by strangers, without real connection, produces something close to physical pain. Your brain doesn't just register loneliness as an emotion, it registers it as a threat to survival, activating some of the same neural pathways as physical danger. In a hunter-gatherer band, isolation from the group meant death. No protection from predators, no help finding food, no one to notice if you didn't come back. Your body still treats disconnection like a 5-alarm fire, even when you're standing in a room packed with people. So why does a crowd make you feel more alone, not less? Because a crowd of strangers isn't a group, not to your brain. A group means bonds, history, mutual obligation. A crowd is just a cluster of unknowns, and unknowns register as risk. This is why you can feel intensely lonely in a room of 200 people, but completely at ease with 3 old friends around a table. Numbers don't matter to your nervous system. Familiarity does. There's a name for the physiological response itself. It's called the fight or flight response, first described by physiologist Walter Cannon in the early 20th century. When your brain senses a threat, real or perceived, it floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense, your pupils dilate. Blood moves away from your digestive system and toward your limbs, preparing you to run or to fight. In a crowded room, there's nothing to run from and nothing to fight. So all that energy has nowhere to go. It just sits there as a tight chest, a racing heart, a whisper in the back of your mind that something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's just not what you think. Consider the layout of the room itself. Humans have always been sensitive to exits, sightlines, and open space. Environmental psychologists have long noted that humans prefer spaces where they can see the entrance and have their back to a wall, a preference researchers sometimes call prospect refuge theory. It's the same instinct that made a cave with a wide view of the savannah feel safer than one facing a blind ravine. Walk into a crowded room where you can't see the door, and some part of you registers exposure. Not because you're paranoid, because your ancestors who ignored that feeling didn't pass on their genes as often as the ones who paid attention. Isn't it strange that a feeling this old can still run your Tuesday night? Now here's the twist. You'd think evolution would have caught up by now. Cities have existed for thousands of years. Surely the human brain has adapted to crowds, but evolution doesn't move at the speed of culture. Cities are a blink of an eye in evolutionary time. Your genome hasn't caught up to elevators, subways, or open plan offices. You are, biologically speaking, a small band forager wearing a blazer, standing in a room built for thousands. This mismatch has a name in evolutionary psychology: the evolutionary mismatch. It's the same reason you crave sugar and fat, even though they're now abundant instead of scarce. It's the same reason bright screens at night confuse your circadian rhythm. Your brain keeps applying ancient rules to a modern world that no longer follows them. So the panic you feel in a crowd isn't a personal failing. It's a signature. Proof that the same brain that once kept a small band of humans alive on an open plain is still running inside you, still trying to keep you safe, using tools built for a world that hasn't existed for 10,000 years. Knowing this doesn't make the feeling disappear, but it changes what it means. The next time you're in a packed room and your chest tightens, you're not weak. You're not socially inept. You are experiencing the oldest alarm system known to your species, one that has kept humans alive since long before language, long before agriculture, long before cities existed at all. It just hasn't been told that the danger it's watching for went extinct thousands of years ago. Maybe the goal isn't to silence that feeling. Maybe it's to recognize it for what it actually is: a message from a very old part of you, still doing its job, still trying to protect a body that doesn't need protecting anymore. Not in that room, not from those people. You walk into a party. The room is loud, too many voices at once. Your chest tightens, but this time, you know exactly why. And somehow, that changes everything.